Hey Facebook, this is Krisha again, and today is Wednesday, and today's live stream I wanted to talk about how to mompreneur like a boss. So as you know, I'm Krisha Young, and I am really excited to share with you the secrets of losing weight naturally, making peace with food, making peace within. I've powerfully coached hundreds of women over the last few years, and what I have learned is in order for them to live their best lives, to shed any excess weight that they no longer wish to carry, to feel better in their body, following meal plans and following diets just isn't the way forward at all. It's counterintuitive. It doesn't teach you how to listen to your body. It doesn't factor in any of the actual lifestyle and the mindset stuff that might be contributing to you feeling like crap in your body. I know for myself, I went through this personal journey as well, and I lost weight, but I still had the negative voices in my head telling me I was no good. And it wasn't until I actually really started to dive deeper into the stuff that I share with you on these live streams that I was able to completely transform my life for the better. I know that you know what to eat already. You already know that kale's good for you. You don't need somebody else telling you that. You can access that information by Googling. But there is something that's keeping you stuck, feeling like shit in your body all the time, and returning constantly to going back to flopping on the sofa, eating chips while watching Netflix. So there is time for this new approach to being healthier and hustling in a healthy way as well. That doesn't shame you or confuse you, overwhelm you, force you to eliminate, or force you to end up burning out. So over the years of working with all these amazing, high-performing, high-achieving women, I have actually developed a really great system to weight loss and feeling healthy and hustling without burnout that has absolutely nothing to do with meal plans or diets or anything like that. So together we look at your psychology, your priorities, your purpose, and your persuasion. And when we get these into alignment, and which means that your life gets into alignment, you'll find that a lot of the stuff that's going on inside your body, from exhaustion to any weight that you're holding on to that you'd really like to release, to the negative thoughts, that bitchy voice in your head, all of that starts to kind of fall away to the side, and you start to feel really centered, and you feel calmer, and it enables you to really get to that next level where you want to go in your life without burning yourself out and without making you feel like worse and gaining even more weight, and just being in that state of constantly feeling and feeling unhappy about where you are. So I'm really glad that you're here watching this live with me. If you are live, I would love for you to say hello so that I know you're here. And feel free, if you have any questions while I'm talking, to ask away. So today I wanted to talk about how to mompreneur like a boss. So in case you weren't aware, I am a mom. I have 2 children. I've got 2 boys, so I'm a mom to boys. And one is 6, that's Mason, and the other one is 3. Actually, I'll show you a little picture of them. Just give me a second. Oops. There we go. Those are my boys. That was taken probably about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago. So those are my boys, and if you're friends with me on Facebook, you'll see that I post pictures of them a lot because they're cute. And my entrepreneur journey has been with kids. So I was on a steady path of decline leading up to my first pregnancy. I was in an extremely stressful job. I'd started to gain weight. I was a mess physically. I was sick every, like 1 week out of 4 at least. I had really bad IBS, a lot of pain in my digestive system. I was in complete adrenal fatigue, which if you're not sure what that is, basically it's when you are operating at a constant state of stress for a really long time. Your adrenals, which are the glands that actually produce the hormones that give you that fight or flight, they were like dead. And I was a raging hormonal mess. I'm just like completely surprised that I even got pregnant, because knowing what I know now about how stress really affects our hormonal system, especially our sex hormones, I'm really surprised that I was able to get pregnant. But anyway, I did, and I was so like depleted in my body during that first pregnancy that I ended up breaking a bone in my foot. Like, that's how nutrient poor my body was. And I was eating while I was pregnant, and I was trying to eat as healthy as I could, but I kept throwing up salads. So it was like carbs. That was the only thing I could really eat in my first pregnancy. And like I said, prior to that, my diet wasn't that great anyway. And so I was already pretty depleted. And when you're pregnant, the baby takes everything first, right? Because obviously you need to be able to support life in your womb. So I, because of that, because Mason was taking all of the goodness out of my body, I was, as a woman, as a human, I was lacking a lot of nutrients. And so, like I said, I broke a bone in my foot, and I was really unhealthy. And my mindset wasn't that great. Like, I had a lot of negative self-beliefs, and I had no internal practices or no consistent internal practices to be able to help me shift my thinking and make positive changes in my life. So with Mason, after that had happened, and I was determined to start losing the weight that I had gained and get back into shape, that's how I discovered the holistic nutrition, and I started going to school from that point forward to learn what I could about how to change my life. And that just led me on this complete journey to where I am today, which is really awesome. But I was hustling like a mofo during that time. And I had Mason as a baby while I was, going to school. I was working full time, going to nutrition school part time. And then I got pregnant with Evan. And so I was in school with him while I was pregnant. And then after, I gave birth to him while I was in school. It's amazing because I was only in school for 2 years, but it feels like that should have been like a 10-year thing. But anyway, and I remember pumping in class, because Evan was just a newborn. And so I get it, in terms of, being a mom and wanting to have something more in life. And my big thing was really to be at home with my kids, and I hated it when I was still working and side hustling when I was leaving the house at 6 o'clock in the morning and then not coming home until after 6:30 at night. I never saw my kids. So Monday to Friday, I didn't see them because they were so little. They were in bed still when I left, and for the most part, and they were also in bed by the time I got home. And if they were up in the morning, it was literally, I was showering, getting ready, and then going. So I didn't really actually see my kids very much during that time. So the push for me to quit my corporate job and to be at home was huge for me, because I really wanted to show them that there is another way of life. And that was my personal journey. And this is a question, a lot of the women that I work with are moms, and there's a lot of guilt associated with being a business owner or an executive and having kids. There's often a lot of thought around, I'm not spending enough time with my kids. My kids are witnessing me being super stressed out all the time. My kids are witnessing me flop out on the sofa and eating chips, sometimes not. Maybe your kids are watching you every night, you're drinking wine. They're seeing that, right? You might not have a problem with it. You might not be getting drunk and but they're witnessing how you are dealing and managing with the stress of, being a high achiever. And this is something that maybe you witnessed growing up as well, and so you're repeating these patterns. But there's never a bad time or a wrong time to start to make some shifts and changes in your life in order to teach your kids some new habits. And but that begins with you. And I'm a big believer in that whole analogy when it comes to self-care about putting your mask on first. Like when you're in an airplane and they say put your mask on first so that you don't fucking die and then you can help somebody else. It's the exact same thing, ladies. It is the exact same thing when it comes to taking care of yourself, okay? If you are not taking care of yourself, everybody suffers. The woman is like the heart of the home. And when the woman is unhappy and stressed out and miserable and having like a lot of negative thoughts and all of that, then the whole house suffers. And this isn't said to make you feel guilty or anything like that, but to hopefully poke you and prod you to say, hey, like you gotta fucking start taking care of yourself so that trickles out and then there's more harmony and peace within your family. So if there's a lot of bullshit going on where, in your life right now with your kids or with your family, take a look at how you're treating yourself and see if there's any things that you can do to maybe invite in some more, I hate the word self-care, but I mean, it's kind of a blanket term that coins all of this. So let's just use it. Invite in more self-care and see how taking that back for yourself has a huge positive impact to the entire family. I remember a client of mine once, we were trying to get her to do something for herself, which was going out with her girlfriends. And she felt incredibly guilty. She had 2 young children at home. Husband was working all day. Mom was working sort of part-time. But she was like laying out everything for everybody else and not doing anything for herself. Does that sound familiar? Anyway, we talked about this and I said to her, so what would happen if you actually went out with your friends? Like, let's talk about the benefits of all of this rather than looking at the negative of, if I go out, then it's putting the responsibility of the kids on my husband and he's been working all day long, and the guilt and the shame and all that bullshit that comes around with that way of thinking. So we flipped it around and looked at the positive side and the benefits of what everybody was going to get. So the benefits to her was that she was going to get out of the house, like hang with her girlfriends, have some wine, like just be a woman with other women for a few hours and not be mom or not be whatever. So that's a big benefit. That will fill her cup up so that when she comes home, she's content, happier, right? Not resentful, right? Not angry that, and like, I wish I could go out. Because secretly, that's kind of what happens. And that's that martyr sort of thinking that develops, that victim thinking that develops when you're not prioritizing yourself. And the other benefits were that her husband had an opportunity to spend time with the boys, like just daddy and kids time. That was it. And that's a huge benefit. That's strengthening the bond between the kids and dad and giving dad some purpose outside of his job, right? And then looking at the kids as well, giving them some purpose and not purpose, sorry, but giving them connection to their dad as well, and strengthening that relationship, and seeing the dynamic that there's mom who does this stuff and then there's dad who does that stuff, right? So everybody wins in that situation, right? And she did it, and she came home and she was like, this was the best thing ever. So I think it's like permission. I'd like to give you permission to do these things, to take care of yourself first, to put that mask on first, and do the things that you really want to do. Be a little selfish, because that is going to spill out in a really positive way to your family, and everybody benefits from that. I also want to give you permission to stop looking at fucking Pinterest. Pinterest is a place, or Instagram or something like that. Those are places where perfection exists. And we are far from perfect, okay? That just feeds into the doubt and the fear and the worry that we have naturally as moms, that we're not enough, we're not doing enough, we're fucking up our kids, right? So looking at Pinterest and looking at those things, there's nobody perfect out there. And any like mom who looks like she's got her shit together is lying, you know, that she's probably on coke or something. I don't know, for real, but like there's probably something else going on there when you see that like gloss, like, you know, that's not real. Humans are not designed that way. It's impossible. And remember that no matter what you do, you're likely going to screw them up somehow. That's just the reality, again, of being parents. I mean, if you are into the personal development space, or you're into psychology or anything like that, you know that there are, or into subconscious, your conscious, subconscious, you know that there are a lot of ties from your childhood that have created whatever your reality is today, right? So whatever you're doing today, this is shaping and forming your children of the future, like you're the adults of the future, right? And so you're intelligent, you know this. I'm sure you're doing your absolute best. And even me with doing this, knowing what I know about the subconscious brain and how it's all formed by the time they're 7 years old, then it's a lot of pressure to not screw them up. But I know I'm screwing them up somehow. But that's their journey, right? And they're learning their lessons in this lifetime, so that whatever they're dealing with is what's going to help them be better people and maybe save the world in their kind of way down the road, right? And so it's part of their journey. Let go of the guilt around any of that. I often joke that I'm not saving for their college, or university, whatever. I'm actually saving for therapy. And in fact, I think I'm going to change that and say I'm saving to invest in their first entrepreneurial journey. Let's do that. And I want to say this, you know, if you are a business owner or you are in that space, hiring help is probably the biggest self-care thing that you can do for yourself. I have a nanny. We hired somebody a couple years ago when Evan was just a little baby, because I was working full time at the time. My husband was working nights, and we had like this gap of a couple of hours where we needed some help. Daycare was just ridiculously expensive for the 2 kids going into daycare. It's going to be like something like $4,000 to $5,000 a month for daycare, and we don't have family to help that's nearby. So it ended up having to be like hiring a nanny. Like, the community that we have as women is gone. So we have to be proactive with this, which means if we don't have family to help out, we have to hire somebody to help out. And that's just the bottom line of it. So I do have a nanny for that particular reason, and she helps look after the kids, but she also helps with housework. And that takes so much pressure off me to be able to focus on my business and focus on doing the things that I really need to do. If you're not in a position to hire somebody, which I would say, like, really maybe rethink that. You know, look at where you can cut out some other crap that maybe you don't need and invest it into having some sort of childcare, because it is a game changer, and it will help elevate you as a business owner and as a career-focused woman on a mission. So I would definitely, you know, look at that rather seriously, because it will take a lot of pressure off of you. If you're in between things, or you're just not in a position to hire somebody, you know, again, I would just say, like, don't worry so much about the things that aren't getting done, like the laundry or the state of your kitchen or anything like that. Like, all of those things will get done eventually, and it's not a huge priority on the big scale of things, and it's just adding more and more stuff for you to stress out and worry about when you've already got like a bunch of other things on the go that you're trying to create. So, you know, give yourself a break with all of that, and you know, again, don't be that perfect Pinterest mom, because that's just going to push you into a state of mind that is going to be super stressful and unachievable, and cause a lot more damage than good to your psyche and to your family overall. So yeah, I think if you are self-aware enough, which I'm sure you are, to see any of the patterns and habits that maybe you're doing that are repeated from, maybe your mom, or what you saw your mom and dad do, look at how you can flip some of those around. And if you grew up in a really high performing household and there was a lot of like expectations, a lot of perfection, a lot of that going on, and you're finding yourself sort of like repeating that either just with yourself or with your kids or whatever, take an audit of that and ask yourself, is that really how I want to raise my kids? Is that really how I want to live my life? Or is that just conditioning? And I don't like, it's a default subconscious pattern that you don't actually even agree with. Like if you start to question these things and you're like, why am I doing this? It's because of old conditioned patterns. So, think about that and decide, make a decision that that's no longer going to be your life anymore, and start to make the shifts towards the life that you really, really want, and using the tools that I just mentioned here in this podcast. Sorry, not podcast, today's podcast day. That's why I said that, in this live stream, then, I think that'll go a long way to helping you feel more centered and more calm as the kick-ass mom you already are. So you're already doing awesome just as you are. And this is just, consider this permission to like let go of all the bullshit and all the stuff that you don't need. Let go of any of the perfection, and just take care of yourself. And then that will honestly give you so much more energy to be able to take care of other people and not resent it, and let go of that guilt that comes around. We don't need that. There's so much stuff in the world that we don't need more things to worry about or more things to feel guilty about. So that's all I wanted to say on today's live. If you are interested in diving a little deeper with this work, in terms of, feeling better in your body, maybe you've been struggling with trying to lose weight, and you're really at the point where you just don't want to keep struggling anymore. Maybe you're full of, doubts and fears around certain things, and you're looking at, really elevating your game and really making a big shift in your life, and, working towards that powerful, strong woman that you are inside, but just, needs a little tweaking here and there. Hit me up. So I'll put a link in the comments there. I would love to have a conversation with you to see how I can help you make this a reality for you, how I can help you facilitate this in your own life. It is possible, and I have lots of clients who I have taken this through, and they're, really happy, and their lives are just so different now than when they first came to see me, a ball of stressed out, like chaotic mess. And now they're nice, calm, centered, and they feel really, really good. So I want the same for you. So take advantage of scheduling a call with me if this is resonating with you. So again, thank you very much. Tomorrow's live stream, 12 o'clock Eastern, same channel. I'm going to talk about how to meditate to elevate. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how meditation has contributed to changing my life and the life of my clients, and how you can get started if it's something that is new to you. There's a lot of myths around meditation and how you have to like be super quiet and centered and all this kind of stuff. And I want to break down some of these myths and take you through an exercise on how you can invite this in a way that it feels achievable, especially because you're super busy and, very A-type and in your head, and sitting quietly for 5 minutes sounds like torture. I get it. So thank you very much. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you on the next live stream. Bye for now.